There we go. What's up?
Hey,
Let's continue.
all right. So tell me how things have been with this YouTube channel slash podcast. I don't know why I use the term podcast, but you've been doing really well. I can't even catch up.
Yeah, I got a packed schedule, man. I'm just staying active, staying busy between this LLC I've been working on and this podcast and the schooling I've been doing for sports management. I've just for the first time in my life I got a planner. Um about 2.5, 3 weeks ago. Fuck,
Uh-huh.
am I powerful when I have a planner?
Yeah, is it a physical planner?
Yeah, he's right
Yeah.
here. He's
Okay.
my best friend. By me
Oh,
every
that's so
single day
cool.
now.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah. I
That's
uh I always had a preconceived judgment about people with a planner, but I have now realized that it's a very important part of organization, especially if you're going to be juggling multiple things at once.
Yep. I learned that when so growing up, I grew up Mormon and I went on a 2-year mission to Siberia. And the first thing that they give you when you start I did a 3-month training learning Russian and kind of gospel, like how to proselyte and stuff in the
Yeah.
States. And then we went out to Siberia for 2 years. And the first thing they give you is a planner, like this little planner that you can fit in like a jacket pocket.
Okay.
And it was something I never, ever, ever used before.
Right.
And by the end of my 2-year stint, if I didn't have that, I felt naked. Like it
Yeah.
had everything in it my whole entire day. And so it's something that I've used till now is I've transitioned from a physical planner to an electronic planner, but the concept is the same. Every night before I go to bed, I have to plan out not exactly minute by minute what's
Yeah.
going on the next day,
Right.
but my direction for the next day. And then once a week, I'll do a weekly planning and I'll go through and I'll kind of purge the projects that I've either been pushing off or I need to pull forward. And it's just a great way to reevaluate. And it's something that I continue to do now.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I every single night I'll look at it for the next day, and it gives you a good idea of what you have coming the next day. And I used to just kind of like a fart in the breeze, I just kind of
Yeah.
breeze around back and forth, left and right, up and down. But it's especially for somebody that needs their mind to be clear and focused. It's been an incredibly effective tool for myself. So I'm grateful that I found a planner
Good,
on Amazon.
good.
I
Yeah, I had a I had a weird day yesterday where it was like I just totally went the opposite direction of what I had planned for the day. Like on my phone, I opened up my calendar and it was just packed with these projects. None of them were like time sensitive,
yeah,
and there's only one meeting for the day. So I attended my meeting and I just felt high anxiety, and I felt a lot of shoulds. Oh, I should do this. I should do this. I should do this. And I started to get this kind of hyper, uh, hyper anxiety around jumping from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. And when I get that feeling, it's not healthy for me.
yeah,
I'll dive into a project or a task, and I'm not doing it with the right intention. And it could be something as very deep in business, or it could be something as simple as making my bed or washing the dishes, you know?
yeah,
Because my wife is gone. She's in Savannah, Georgia she's a travel agent. So she's down there at a conference. So I'm watching the kids and taking care of the house. And if I got to the point where I was like so hyper OCD that if one little thing was out of place, I had to go kind of hover over everything, and that's not a healthy place for me. It's
sure.
so yesterday I did something that I don't do that often, where I just turned off my notifications and I went downstairs and I started playing a video game. in the middle of the day,
Yeah,
like 2, 3 hours.
good for
And
you.
yeah, and it was one of I had these thoughts. "Ah, I should go to the gym. I should work on this project. Oh, I should upload this audio file to my podcast, whatever."
Hmm.
And it was one of those things where I had to detach my planner from my heart for a little bit,
Yeah.
rid of the shoulds. And I felt guilt for probably that first hour playing the game. It honestly, probably until I stopped playing is when that kind of guilt kind of released inside of me.
Yeah.
But when I was done, it transitioned my world from being, oh, I should do this to, okay, now I want to do this, and I think that that is important for everybody, but especially for me to
Hmm.
realize that so many times we pack things into our life that starts out from a desire, but it transitions quickly into an obligation.
Hmm.
And when it becomes an obligation and it becomes a chore, there needs to be this reset transition element to help us reconnect with our intention. And the means that I did that yesterday was very off base from what someone would expect of me as a dad or as a business owner or whatever. But I needed that. So I just felt to share that story.
What would the pre-Rhythmia Tyler have gone downstairs and played a video game, or would you have pushed harder towards your what your goals were for that day and kind of force yourself through it in what you would call an unhealthy way of hovering or maybe an unproductive way, but still getting stuff done?
Both. I've done both. I think the most common pre-rhythmia Tyler would have worked, spent time with the kids until they went to bed, spent time with my wife until she fell asleep, and then I would go watch a show or play a game or something until 1 a.m.
Okay.
because I'm just avoiding sleep and I'm avoiding the next day.
Yep.
And then I would crash,
Hmm.
and then I would go and go on a walk or go watch a show or play a game with full guilt.
Yeah.
And I was hiding from my obligations rather than using it as a true reset.
Right.
So, what should have been therapy and relaxation pre-rhythmia for me was just this spiraling guilt that when I got back to doing what I quote unquote should do, the things on my calendar, I had higher anxiety because I was hiding from it rather than resetting it so that I could approach it from a place of desire.
Right. Okay. What video game do you like to play?
Right now, I'm playing one called Lords of the Fallen.
Okay, is
It's
that on PC?
it is on PC. It's
Okay.
through Steam. We have a Steam Deck and a PC, and I like Souls type games,
Okay,
very
okay. I know what style you're talking about then.
kind of open world,
Yeah.
uh, very challenging type game. I don't like the hack and slash type
Right.
games so much. I like them being more strategic, fighting elements, stuff like that. Do you
Okay.
game at all?
Well, I haven't since I've been back,
Yeah.
and part of that has been a challenge for me to play again because whenever I turn on my Xbox, I feel the need to do drugs,
Yeah.
and um, I'm not ready to play yet.
Yes.
I think my Xbox has been on for a half hour since I've been back, and that half hour again was like, oh no, I can't do this. It's
Yeah.
making me it was making me very uncomfortable.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah.
but when I do play, mostly sports games, but also I have a Minecraft realm that is unhealthy looking,
Yeah.
to say the least. But before Rhythmia, that's all I would do is I'd lock myself in my bedroom and do drugs and play video games, and um, it's definitely I don't want to say the word triggering because I don't have any cravings anymore, so to speak. But what happens is when it's on, it I've never had this feeling before, but it gives me anxiety.
Yeah, dude,
And
thank
I
you
never
for
knew what anxiety felt like until I turned on my Xbox, a couple weeks ago.
yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that. That is a huge realization,
Hmm.
actually, because I think everyone does have these habits that have formed around activities that start from a place of uh what's the right word? Hmm. Just it's not like healthy or unhealthy.
Right.
It's just an activity,
Yeah.
but then it can something can attach to it that is unhealthy that then makes that activity unhealthy for you.
Right.
And so like when my wife and I we have a TV in our room, if we turn it on and we have this adjustable base bed where we can like adjust it up,
Yeah.
as soon as we turn the TV on and we like turn our bed into a couch or whatever,
Yeah.
I get hungry. It's like, hey, where are the nachos? Where are the chips?
Oh,
You
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And what started as like this fun date night has now transitioned into this craving
Yeah.
that the trigger is the adjusting our bed and turning on the TV. And it sounds like the playing an Xbox in and of itself isn't bad, but it's become a trigger because you have other activities that you've associated with it. And that's a big realization to realize. And you don't necessarily have to detach it. Sometimes you can just eliminate the activity so that you don't find those triggers.
Yeah. And I have friends that play and I'd like to play with my friends again, but for the time being, I got to step away. And also, I know that playing video games isn't an unhealthy habit if you do it in moderation. But right now, with everything that I have going on, I just I'm not putting time for it, and I don't need to put time for it. I've
Yeah.
really, I mean, you saw even what I look like at Rhythmia as far as what I was for in shape and what I am now. I'm just focused on the businesses that I'm trying to pull off of the ground, and then also my own health, really healthy eating, intermittent fasting, and then I've been working out like almost 3 hours a day. So, and usually that starts at 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. and then I'll finish at night from like 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. So I've just it's taking away the boredom, which would then turn into Xbox time.
Yes.
And the NBA playoffs help too. So
Yeah. Right.
seeing a bunch of jack dudes run up and down the court is like, oh, that's motivation.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That it is, it's healthy to realize that because I mean, everyone needs opportunity to center themselves and reset, right? I mean, that's something we learned very strongly at Rhythmia. That's why we do breath work and stuff. But when that transition, when that becomes an escape from reality,
Yeah,
rather than helping you realign yourself to the presence, then it can be a very dangerous thing. And a lot of times those activities are identical. It's sometimes just the length of time that you're involved in that activity that it transitions from being good to bad. You know, it's the term moderation in all things. It's a
right.
very powerful concept. Something very, very good can become something very, very bad the more you consume it.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. What else has been new?
Hmm.
You're moving to Utah, you said
Yeah, moving to Utah this month.
this month. Okay. So you've been doing a
Well,
lot of packing or you have somebody move for you?
yeah, we'll have a mover.
Oh, that's so nice.
We do have to pack up our like our photos and dishes and stuff into boxes,
Okay.
and then they'll move it. We're building a house in Bali that we're excited to go check out in January. I just like the spirit of Bali, the feeling there. The people
Yeah.
are really awesome. Um, yeah, we just a lot of transitions right now. We're selling one of the properties we bought. It's a I don't put any stock into the projects we're doing in life, but they are changes in life. I joke with my wife all the time that we've lived multiple chapters of our life. And I was going to be a dentist. I got accepted into dental school
Really?
while I was doing my MBA,
Okay.
and I had started a business while I was doing my schooling that really started to do well. And I had to make the decision, okay, do I really want to be a dentist or do I want to pursue this venture? And I look at the two different paths that could have happened. My dad was a dentist and he just retired, really. He retired and then kind of entered into the workforce again part-time and then officially retired again this year. And I'm not the personality that could do the same thing for my whole life. I've
Yeah.
owned over a dozen businesses and have traveled the world and uh, gone on so many different ventures in life, and that excites me because we've lived so many chapters, and those memories of looking back onto the different lives that we've led is very exciting. So it seems like most time when people ask me what we're doing, it's something different,
Yeah.
but that's part of who I am. It's part of who our family is. And we're not doing it for any sense of ego or to check off anything. It's just we love novelty in our life and we like to pursue passion. And so we do. And sometimes that hurts us. A lot of times it hurts us, takes us backwards, or we spend money on things that we shouldn't, but that's who we are.
Well,
What about you?
yeah, that sounds fun to me. I think that that's awesome. And I had I had two choices also when I was younger, whether to go into this retail job or to go into a service job.
Mhm.
And I had taken that retail job. I was pretty damn good at it. But I was doing the same thing every day, like you're saying. And what I'm realizing with what I'm doing right now, with me bouncing around to different things, and if I'm able to keep it organized, it's a lot of fun. Like I don't feel like I'm working right now. I feel like I I'm just allowing the energy to move my body where it goes, and I'm as light as a feather.
Mm.
It's 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 just beautiful.
Yeah. I love
Um,
that. For me,
I
a lot of the chapters in our life was me trying to search for something.
right.
And now that I feel like I've found it, I find it and then I lose it.
Do you
It
think you've
wasn't,
found it at this point?
yes, but I lose it every day. It seems like
Oh, I see.
hard to keep it.
Yeah,
It,
elusive.
yes, it is. I think the closest analogy I can think of is like if you're digging for a fossil or something, and you dig and you find it. If you leave
Yeah,
it alone, dust and sand and dirt is going to cover it up real quickly.
right.
And you have to continue to polish it off every single day. But that we went on a road trip, last time I was in Vermont last week, we were
Hmm.
on a road trip and that was the first time in years where it was a new chapter in our life, but I felt present throughout it. And it was such a good feeling. It gave me a desire to continue to try new things rather than this burnout that I
Yeah.
started to feel.
I uh I had Rafi on yesterday and we did the human design for me.
I just started to watch that. Tell me about it, because
Yeah.
or I can just watch it. I
Well,
was
I'll tell you a
listening
little
about
bit.
lunar and solar cycles and all of that, but I only got maybe 5 minutes in.
Okay. You'll after the episode's done, you'll have to tell me what you understand from it because these 12 different houses and these different planets that affect our energy, it's kind of hard for me to comprehend. It makes sense. And I had asked him the question in the episode. I'd asked him, everything in life has a purpose, whether it's the grass or the trees for oxygen. It's cows, deer for food. It's dogs as companions, right? So our planet's purpose to affect our energy and inform us all a little bit different structurally based on where we are when our ascendance happens. I It's just hard for me to comprehend all this.
Yeah,
I don't
dude.
get it.
Totally.
I don't get it. I'm
And
really trying to get it. I really am. but
And it doesn't matter if you get it. Here's the thing.
it matters to me.
I spent 30 years of my life seeking and holding to truth that I
Yeah.
found wasn't true, and I had to drop it. And we have as humans, we have such a strong desire to have the answers to things.
Yeah.
We'll grasp at meaning and correlate it to truth and wrap it up into this pretty bow
Mhm.
and turn it into doctrine. And all of a sudden, we have the answers to everything in life, only to find out later down the road that we were flawed in our data or our thinking, or there was more data that we didn't consider, and all of this stuff. You look at flat earthers, you look at people who put all of the stock in astrology. There is truth in all things. But for anyone to claim truth of all things, we are not God.
Right.
We're not even close. So how it's so naive for anybody to consider that one thing can correlate to truth for everybody. But it's not bad to find meaning and have belief
Hmm.
either. So like when I yesterday I was talking to someone who was talking about what is it called? Behavioral epiology, I think.
That's
It's
new for me. Okay.
the study of generational trauma through DNA.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And that was something that came up at Rhythmia too,
Hmm.
7 generations of trauma, and you need to break
Yeah.
that cycle.
Right.
I think that you can either package that up, right, and say everyone has this, it's part of everybody, and kind of make this religion out of it. And when you do, that will be extremely, extremely, extremely impactful for certain people that align with it. But is it truth? It could be partly true,
Yeah.
right?
It, what one thing about that trauma that carries on from generation to generation, that is 100% accurate. But what's really interesting, Gary, do you know, are you familiar with Gary Brecka?
No. Uh-uh.
Gary Brecka is this biohacker. He read autopsy reports for 15 years for life insurance companies to determine people's lifespan. So then he would tell the life insurance company how much to spend, and he would have everybody's life down to about a month. He was that good at reading these autopsies. And anyways, he ended up quitting the job after 15 years because there was a situation where somebody was going to die, and he asked the life insurance company, can I tell this lady that she's going to die in about a couple months because she has no idea what the path that she's on right now. And the life insurance company said no. So at that point, he quit because, it was against the company's rules and regulations to do that. But, the man had a heart. Anyways, he goes on a lot of different podcasts now and talks about health. And one of the things he talks about is, oh, heart disease, it runs in the family. Oh, diabetes, it runs in the family. Well, there's no such thing as a genetic sickness that runs in the family. It's the lifestyle. And that's the lifestyle you grew up in. It's the lifestyle beforehand, and that's just the lifestyle that had carried on. So, with what you're saying, breaking that trend, it's the same thing is as that generational trauma. The same
Mm.
reason why when a cat is running outside and maybe sees a shadow up above, gets super scared and has that instinct to run alongside a tree and get into some shade where he can't be seen maybe from the sky. It's where does that instinct come from? From
Mhm.
prior primal instinct of previous ancestors getting that trauma of being picked up by a bird and taken away.
Well, yeah, partly,
Yeah.
right? That's the thing is it's partly
Yeah.
from it's like asking where the water in the ocean comes from.
Yeah.
And people or the analogy of blind men feeling an elephant. Have you heard that analogy?
I
You
haven't
know,
seen
one
that.
person,
I haven't heard that one.
there are a bunch of blind men that are feeling an elephant and asked to describe what the elephant is, and one person's feeling the tusk, and one person's feeling the trunk, the other one's feeling the feet, the
Hmm.
other one's just feeling the leathery skin, and they all explain that this elephant is something totally different than the combination of everything put together that becomes the elephant. And we live in a world of fragmentation and silos where if we go back to the ocean analogy, people will study so intricately a specific river that empties into the ocean, right? And then they will say the ocean is getting its source from this river, and the elements that are in this river make the ocean X, Y, and Z, right? Other people study the clouds and rain. Other people study urine that comes from the animal life in the ocean. Other people are studying um, pollution, and all of these things contribute to what the ocean is.
Yeah.
But the ocean doesn't get its water from any one source. And it's the same for us. We are like this ocean of data.
Yeah.
And what makes us us isn't one particular silo. It's not just your human design. It's not just the stars or the lunar cycle. It's not just your uh, genetic makeup. It's not your generations. It's not your lifestyle. It's not your choices that you make every single day. It's too complex, truly, to define from any particular silo. But there's also not a lot in this world that takes the fragmentation of these silos and puts it into a platform where you can really study all of these things in one place to reflect on it and see what connects with you to really create your own personality or your own personal fingerprint.
Yeah. I will say that the human design and the astrology was incredibly accurate.
Yes, I believe it. Tell me about
And
it.
well, one of my one of my traits were hermit, which makes a lot of sense because before arrhythmia, I'd hide in my room. And, you know, um, when I was doing that, I was living in chaos. And then the chart also said, okay, if you use that energy to be social and be out, then these other things happen and things fall into line. And that's exactly what's happening right now. What's also interesting is wherever I could be getting this wrong, but wherever Uranus is, and Raffi calls it Uranus, so we had a laugh about that. Where, where, wherever Uranus is and Saturn, wherever a couple of different planets are, apparently, and it's actually really funny. I'm in the process of a transformation right now, and that's kind of that actually is the name of the podcast, believe it or not. And that's a word that has been coming to me for so long, and I think this is the first time that I've actually been listening to myself.
Mm,
And we've talked about it before, where I've actually been able to have conversations with God, and I'm listening. I'm not ignoring the signs. I'm just following the energy. And we talked about this before. You're being pushed in a certain way, and you're allowing that push. You're allowing that energy to kind of take you where you go. And that goes back to me saying earlier, I'm as light as a feather. You just allow you roll with the punches,
yes. Mhm.
and it's fun. I have a lot of fun doing it. Something else that my human um what already forgetting the human design said was I'm a generator. What do you remember what you were?
I'm a manifesting generator, which is
Oh,
a combination of a manifester and a generator.
you're a
Mhm.
manifesting generator. So you've
Mhm.
manifested me through our
Yes.
conversations.
Yes. Yeah. And then I respond to what you say.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's so cool. What else did you learn about it? And maybe I'll have some stuff that I remember that we could bounce back and forth off of.
Oh man, I went down a pretty big. So when I say like when I talk about silos, it doesn't mean that those silos aren't true or there's not meaning to get from them. But when you put all of your attention just on that to live your life on, and you get to the point where you ignore other forms of reflection or data that help you further define who you are, I think that's typically the issue. You know, if I were to live my life only from human design and not listen to any other forms of personality tests or my genetics or my lifestyle or anything like that, then I wouldn't live as fulfilled of a life as if I were more holistic. You know,
Yeah.
that said, it doesn't mean that when I learn about human design, I ignore it. You know, I still consume it fully. And I went down a huge rabbit hole with it, which I loved. I loved. So I'm a manifesting generator. Which means that I respond to outside stimuli. When something comes, I'm not meant to think.
Yeah.
I'm meant to respond to the
Okay.
world, which is very challenging for me. And I believe that, but I tend to try to overthink things rather than just feel. It also means that when I'm, uh, I can't remember the term for it, when I need to make a decision, I'm not meant to make that decision during the emotions of it. Um, I'm meant to let the that wave settle before I respond.
Okay.
I'm also something called a 1-3, 1-3
Okay.
something, and
Yeah,
that is
I'm a 2-4.
where I'm in. I can't remember exactly, but I meant to one investigate. That's what the one stands for.
Okay.
Um, I can't remember what the three stands for though. But essentially, I meant to investigate and then attack
Yeah.
and commit. But I'm also meant if something doesn't align for me that did align for me, I'm meant to pivot. I'm meant to shift. And that's hard for me because I do a lot of things out of loyalty and guilt and commitment and
Yeah.
obligation. And even this week, it was a very challenging week for me because there was a big client that I had that it it didn't align for me anymore. So I had to have a conversation and just walk away. And that was very challenging for me, but at the same time, I felt the misalignment, he felt the misalignment. So the second that happened, we both felt this relief because we were trying to force something. And yeah, I meant to get my digestion through light, meant to eat and think in light spaces, not darkness. I meant to be high. I have a mountain something where I have clear mind and inspiration in high places, both physically and figuratively. When I
Yeah.
get into the weeds of anything, and I get very much into the intricacies of process, and I lose my vision of kind of the bird's eye view, high level of of business or family or anything. That's I'm not supposed to be in the weeds where a lot of people are. Stuff like that. I can't remember everything.
You have a great memory. I'm trying to rack my memory of what I talked about last night, and I think I was just still kind of lost on this chart, and
Mhm.
I wasn't able to pay full attention to what Rafi was telling me. So I'm gonna have to watch it today, and
Yeah. And
then I can have a better answer for you.
Rafi's so smart, dude. Like this is his world, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. It's cool to see somebody so passionate about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to use Chat GPT and Grok both to dumb things down for me. Seriously. I'm like,
I feel that way when I'm talking to him. I'm like, fuck, I don't.
yeah, I
But
can I can understand the chart when it's broken down, but
yeah,
I had to do a lot of prompts just to understand the chart. I understand the chakras,
yeah,
right? I understand now the channels between them.
yeah.
Understand the gates
Okay.
now, and I understand that they're either open or closed,
Hmm.
which means so the chakras are, you know what chakras are.
I know what chakras are. Yep.
So my biggest chakra is my throat chakra
Okay.
is the most open, meaning that it's colored in on the chart. It's a part of who I am. Or if the chakra is closed, it means that it only really opens to you uh, based off of situation, who you're around, who you're with, but it's not a part of your core.
Yeah.
My throat chakra is powerful, right? And I have channels that are, are open to
Hmm.
other chakras. And
Yeah.
I had to research, what does that mean? Right. And it's like, well, your chakra is always open, but it's not always powerful. It's only powerful when when this channel is aligned, right? And that's when it talks about emotional, right? If I'm doing something out of guilt, or I'm trying to think of something uh, in a forced way, my voice falls flat,
Yeah.
totally flat.
Right.
And when I'm speaking from a place of uh, stillness and just letting the words come through me and flow through me, and I'm not studying those words and I'm being present and I'm being in the moment, then there's an emotional power that comes through and people feel that.
Yeah.
They feel me through my voice, right? And through my solar plexus. Those are my two biggest ones.
Right.
My confidence. Other people, they are able to transfer their connection through different chakras. So it's a crazy little rabbit hole to go down, and it's fascinating. But I definitely had to. I paid someone to read my chart to me, and I left that meeting just so confused.
That's exactly how I felt. I felt really confused, but I also am extremely grateful for his effort and
Totally.
his knowledge and
Yes.
the fact that he was willing to do that for me for free and to do it on an episode for me to
Yes.
watch back over and over again is
And
some something really special.
I haven't watched it, but one thing that I'm sure happened is through his intelligence, he at least got you curious
Oh yeah.
and got you connected to, okay, what he is saying, even though 90% of it's going over my head,
Hmm.
it sounds accurate.
It was a lot of it
And,
was spot on, and
and
that's
now I'm curious,
yeah.
right? And that
Yeah.
that will then take you on this pathway to do your own reflection and your own research. And that's healthy. That's what's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Is you're supposed to investigate. Well, at least I am, because
Yeah,
I'm
you're a 1-3. You're supposed to
yes.
investigate. I'm a
Whatever
two
you are
four.
is what you're
Yeah.
supposed to do.
I'm just
Yeah.
supposed to eat hot food. That's all I'm supposed to do.
Great. Awesome.
Yeah, so I it's a really cool thing, and I'm gonna actually have on a couple more astrologers within the next few weeks. So
Nice.
it's definitely a topic that I'm very, very curious about. And it goes back to that question I had asked you earlier, the purpose of things and what is the purpose of life, that cliche. And it's actually extremely accurate because I do think about that a lot, and
Mm.
I thought about it in an unhealthy way before I got to Costa Rica, and now I think about it in a much healthier way because the foundation of it is faith in God rather than conspiracy theories and
Mm.
in different special interest groups influencing me.
Yeah. How, I have a question for you,
Okay.
and you can think on this for a little bit. I've
All right.
been
Yeah.
on it for a while, which is interesting because the question is, how much emphasis do you think we should actually put in thought into thinking?
So one thing that I disagree with in yoga is they say void, make your mind void. Because I feel like if there's a void in your mind that allows certain energies to enter your mind that could be negative, I think that thinking about things and knowing when to turn it off is a superpower. I know a lot of people stay up all night long thinking about any random thing. Like my dad, for instance, sometimes he has trouble sleeping and he'll be up and throughout the night thinking about what he's gonna do at work the next day. And um I do a lot of thinking. I I do a lot of critical thinking, which I think is really important because I think it it separates yourself from what you would call maybe the simulation of falling in line. Because if you're able to critically think, you're able to. I personally think, and this goes to you being the investigator, the 1-3. If you have a, if you critically think about something and you develop a hypothesis that is most likely at least 70% accurate, because all these, there's always a lie that's embedded in the truth. And if you're able to critically think, put two and two together, you're able to kind of separate maybe what's real and what isn't. So to answer your question, I think thinking is a very good thing, but I think it's also a really good thing to have that power to turn off when you go to bed and then to wake up again. But when you're present, and I think that's about being in the now, because our brains are so powerful. We only use a certain percentage of our brain. There's a lot left to be used. So I think if you're able to really channel that superpower, you can juggle a few things at once while still being present, but also having those thoughts. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
about you? What
Well,
have you come to on that?
hmm. Well, I did just realize what the three real means. Um,
Okay. Yeah.
three is experimenter.
Okay.
Um, so I meant to when I attach to a thought and right or an idea and it feels right, I meant to first investigate it and then experiment on it. And I learned through trial and error. Um, so anyway, I just remembered that. My I don't know. I don't know. I think that thought is really, really, really good. It's part of who we are,
Hmm.
but thought is very powerful, sometimes too powerful for us to really grasp.
Yeah.
Too much of the time we try to hold on to our thoughts, where it's I guess the way that I could explain it best, at least the way that I feel, is our thoughts are like a very powerful river. And so much of the time we try to dam off the river and control the flow rather than just let the flow happen. And we just take out the small pieces that flow through us. And this creates thought loops. And I see this happen all the time, especially when people are, it's the whole concept of overthinking or analysis paralysis, right? Where they're holding on to this thought and doing this loop and then going down this rabbit hole of this thought rather than just letting the thoughts flow through them. They take it, hold it, but don't think about it anymore. And then as the river continues later on down the road, something else comes that then connects the thought
Hmm.
with it. Um, Horrible at articulating this analogy right now, but I think that so much of the time we think too much about a certain thing rather than understanding that it was a flash of inspiration and then letting it go and then letting our thoughts continue to flow as we're present and just trusting that something else will come along in our thoughts in that river of thought
Yeah.
that will answer the question that we're trying to hold on to. And uh, it's like if I uh, tried to dam the river and I take a little section and fish everything out of it, I'm going to get all the fish out of it. But if I don't let the river continue to flow and new fish to come in, I'm going to reach this drought spot and get really anxious that I'm not getting more fish out of it. And I see that happen a lot with people's thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. I talked about this, I think, with Courtney about being in a loop, and that sounds like a loop. And while maybe in that dam, you could keep four or five fish and continue to farm the fish, eating farm raised fish is not healthy. To go a little bit deeper into that
Yeah.
analogy.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
I uh I know that you're strapped for time, so we can continue this conversation when you're next available. I'll have you on again.
Yeah, this was interesting, all over the place conversation. I don't know if
Yeah.
this is an episode for you or not, or if this
Oh,
is,
this is an episode. Every
yep,
episode's an episode.
okay. I might have to listen back and see what came from it. I feel like I was all over the place, but hopefully there was some value for you. I definitely got value from you. You got me
Oh,
reflecting on good
y
things.
your presence gives me value.
Great.
Yes. So I uh I appreciate you and thank you for coming on and we'll do this again um hopefully soon. So
Sounds good. Well, you have a great day. Just
you
make
as
it a
well.
killer day.
Yes, you as well.